So I'm going to do a little lesson on percussive strumming here. Percussive strumming is just simply where you get the strings muted and you're strumming them muted, so it gets very percussive, you know. So one thing you can do as a little exercise, you can just start trying to break up the strings when you're, when you're practicing. You can. And what I like to do with the students to do, especially on acoustic guitar, is that you immediately realize that the guitar is a very percussive instrument, and when you start breaking up the strings, you almost feel like you have 6 instruments. So, right? So what's great about that is you're forcing yourself to like try and keep strumming, but just only hit certain strings or a couple strings, or you know. So okay, so I'll get to what I was doing in a second. I just wanted to have a cool, you know, intro there. So let's go to we'll do this here. So we'll play an A bar chord here, to a C sharp minor, and then to a D. Okay, so percussive strumming with bar chords is great because those little releases here, so there's a press and release action going on here while you keep strumming. So that creates the percussiveness, but it also it breaks up the tension from playing bar chords, right? I mean, I've been playing for a long time now. Sometimes my hand does get out of shape from acoustic guitar if I don't play it regularly, you know? But even so, even as long as I've been playing, if I keep holding the bar, play a whole bunch of bar chords and never release, I'm gonna start getting fatigued out myself too, right? Okay? And real quickly too, that, you know, this is where the action of the guitar, especially on an acoustic guitar, really means a lot. And that means, I just mean like how high your strings sit off the fretboard. So obviously the higher the strings sit off the fretboard, that just means you have to press harder to make the strings ring out, and that can lead to bad habits, you know, just too much tension, always pushing too hard. So make sure you have your action set nice. You know, if you need to take it into the shop and have that taken care of, it's worth it. It really is. Even just a little bit, you know. You may not think it, but it really does matter. Okay, so again, you can see this little press and release action here that I'm making. I'm not lifting my hand off the strings. I'm just releasing the pressure. So even if you got to do that, strum, release, strum with it muted. Okay, so now I'm not really thinking of a strum pattern, so I'm not going to get into, you know, what exactly it is I'm doing. Okay, so I'm really just in a 16th note pattern. So all I'm focused on here is just keeping my right hand constantly moving. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2. And then I'm just gonna, like, you know, it might be different every time. In fact, it probably is a little bit different every time. But that's cool because that creates some interest, and you know, I mean, it's not just being completely repetitive. But sometimes that's what it calls for, right? You know, the rhythm just calls for it being the same thing. Okay, but anyway, like, to me, this isn't the best way to learn. This is through, like, you know, 1E in, when am I hitting the mutes? You know, like trying to count that out. It's a feel thing. You got to focus on trying to keep your right hand moving. Quicker, I could go to the, D minor. You can, you know, that's kind of cool. The 4 major to the 4 minor. So that's you know, the percussive strumming with open chords is a lot harder, right? I mean, you really got to do some stuff, you know, extra to really, because you know the open chords have open strings, so that makes it more challenging. Whereas bar chords, you just release the pressure, and you know you have the percussive strum, the muted strum. What else can I do to show you? We could take a little reggae beat. Oh, by the way, real quickly, so if we, you know, that just made me think with reggae, like I could take the bottom of this chord progression I just played, A, C sharp minor, and D, and I could just break it down to little triads. Right? And you see right there, like that becomes the power of seeing these bigger chords into a little triad, just the 3 notes of the chord. Because now I have fingers free, and I was able to add in these other notes. Again, I'm just seeing my A major scale. To me, I'm in my E form, so I'm just seeing that my A major scale here. Okay, so you know, I mean, like I free up fingers and I'm able to like add in things from the scale, and again, it gets more interesting. But again, all of this stuff depends on the situation. Why I may do a big old full chord versus why I might play just a triad. Okay, but you want to know how to do it, and obviously when you learn your triads, it's you know, I preach this all the time. So it's, you know, learning your triads on the neck is just to me it's a basic fundamental, and when you actually do really have a good foundation in your triad, you see the power in it. You know, and as I teach it, sometimes it's hard to really get across to students like why you want to know this, why you want to learn it. It isn't until the student really starts putting the time in and they start like, oh, I see, I get why I want to know this stuff. So kind of like working with a metronome, right? We all know it's good, we all know we should do it, but it isn't until we really start using it on a regular basis that we start to actually see the power of that come through, okay? All right, so now the reggae thing. So a lot of times in reggae, you know, you do play a lot of times like on offbeats and stuff like that. So, so I'm gonna work with triads here. I'm gonna take a C minor, so to an F minor, into a G minor, C minor, right? So that's just, you know, 5 of the G, 4 of the B, 3 of the high E. And then, excuse me, F minor is just the first fret. I'm sorry, I need to take a drink of water. All right, so then G minor is at the 3rd fret of the G, B, and E. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice up strums. So let's just take that C minor and go 1, 2, 3, 4. So just on the up strums, 1, 2, 3, but I'm getting some percussiveness in there still, right? Because I'm when I do this here, my ring finger is touching the D string, as in dog. So that's muted out, so I don't have to worry about that too much, you know. And you can see how I'm shallowing out my strumming hand when I come up, right? I don't go like that, right? I don't. So it's an angle of attack that changes on the way down, and I maintain that on the way up, so I don't hit these strings up here. So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go to the F minor. 1, 2, 3. Now notice how I'm kind of using, because I have these fingers free, I'm kind of using extra, you know, insurance policy here by putting that down, because I have the fingers free to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm back, you know, G minor, and then I'm back to the C minor. I might throw in on beat 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on beat 4, I'm just adding in a 16th, you know, kind of a 16th note feel. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and right? So I'm getting into that 4 and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2. And then let's see if I can get that going a little bit. Right? So you gotta keep practicing getting going faster too, right? Okay, and then let's see here. What else can we do here? You know, when you work with like, you know, like not, let's say your dominant 9 chord, right? So that's like, you know, we're getting into a little bit more of a funk, like a funk realm there, right? So this is the dominant, the money chord, as I like to call it. Right, so that's, you know, they call it the clucks in funk, you know, or your, again, that almost becomes more important than the actual strumming of the chord. All that pressing and releasing, okay? Yeah, and then what I was doing in the beginning here, let's see if I can remember that now. So I'm just taking an F sharp minor, and I'm just playing right up kind of the pentatonic scale, right? Just the third, the second fret of the low E to the 5th, to the A string of the 2nd fret. But again, if you can see here, you know, this is something that I've worked hard at over the years, and it's still not always easy for me, especially on an acoustic. It's actually way harder for me. But you can see here how I'm doing everything I can to mute out everything so I can still keep my... You notice I'm not going... actually maintaining this strumming. Then I dropped it. I dropped it down. This is where it gets really hard here. Because I dropped it down to B minor here, so this is F sharp minor. I dropped it down to B minor. Now, because now I really have to watch the low E, so I have to make sure my index finger keeps touching the low E. And I've really got to be, you see how I'm like, you know, I'm not stopping the strumming, but I'm kind of like stabbing a little bit more. And I'm shallowing up that strumming. Even up here on the F sharp minor, you can see how I'm like stabbing and I'm not going through all the strings. But I'm still keeping my right hand moving. And I went back to F sharp minor. Then I went to the 5 chord, C sharp minor, same thing. All right, I'm doing that. It's the same move. Down to B minor, and then back. And then I ended it with the 7 sharp 9, the C sharp 7 sharp 9. And I did some extended just to get the more of the percussive sound, right? Okay, so I know some of this stuff here might be, you know, a little challenging for some of you, and it's, you know, in a lesson like this, it's not really so much about what I'm playing. It's the concept behind it of percussive strumming, right? That's really what this was about. It didn't really, in a sense, matter what I played. It's just more about you just have to understand this is a rhythmical device or concept, and you know, you realize that rhythm guitar isn't just all about strum patterns, that there's actually devices that you want to learn and master. So a simple way, I think, for some of you to get this going is just take a bar chord progression that you know, right? If you know a really simple, even if you just knew like a G, C, D, and just something like that, right? Where you just, you know what I mean? You just start start getting used to that pressing and releasing. And then, like I said, if you just need to strum, release, strum, release, do that, that's fine. All right, so like the video, subscribe, share the channel, do this stuff for you guys. You know, I'm trying to share knowledge here, and so yeah, and then if you want lessons, email me. Thanks so much.